The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
And I was like, yes, hi. I was so excited.
Oh, we said hi. Let me get that hi again.
Okay, hi.
A guy gets to a point and he asks you to marry him, he really wants to marry you.
Mm-hmm. He ready.
Like he really feels like, you know what, she's the one. She's the one.
You already getting the goods. You got to pay for it. Bring me the ring and get on one knee.
Okay.
Or two.
You need time to observe someone and really get a sense of how well do they treat you, how well do they handle adversity.
You're not the one because you don't have grit, the perseverance. You ain't really want me because you ready to give up. Because I said no. Nah, you shouldn't have asked. But since I said no, now it's your job to stay in the game and try to fight for it.
Boy, on 5 Heartbeats, where you make the announcement you're going solo at the awards ceremony.
What's up and happy When I Shut Day. We are a podcast about many different topics coming from the perspective of 3 married couples. You can listen to us on defylifepods.com, Spotify, iTunes, or any of the other popular podcast platform. Thank you for hanging in there with us. So if you can hear my voice, then that means that you came back and you didn't give up. We know we weren't on last week. We had some technical difficulties. While we actually did record a show, when Jay went to do the editing, he discovered that it just was not a good product, and we tried to put the best quality out there that we can. And so here we are. We apologize for not being around last week, but we're here to give you another great show tonight. We have the whole team with us tonight. That was the other thing last week. A couple of us were missing, and so, you wouldn't have gotten the full effect anyway, so maybe it just wasn't meant to be put out there. Not yet, not this time. But we're back tonight, and we have the full crew. Al, you want to start us off?
Of course. Don't mind hitting lead off. So, what's up, everybody? Good to be here. My word of the day is hungry. 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 And, not just because all I've had to eat today was a bowl of ice cream, but I think I am just in a spirit of give me that shit. So, just ready for whatever and looking forward to a great show. And having a very productive day, productive week so far. So just hungry, Spoke to a potential client today, a consistent client with potential projects. So
no, you didn't tell. Oh, yeah, okay.
He was on the call.
Good stuff. Okay, see, I caught myself. Dang.
He was on the call. But good to see y'all. Good to be with y'all, and look forward to having a good conversation tonight.
Thanks, Al. All right, Chiquita.
I'm gonna try to bring a big word, I guess. Apprehensive.
Okay. What you apprehensive about? Got the SAT word?
No, I'm still just confused still because I'm getting a lot of family members calling me and saying, why are we thinking about putting the kids in school? Because we're having like the 2-day and, in school and the 3-day off. So I'm just a little unsure with what Thomas and I agree with. But we shall see. We maybe talk a little bit more of that into the show.
Yeah, I wish I had known what your word of the day was going to be. I'd have saved you for last because that would have been a perfect segue.
Yes.
But it's all right. Yes, we will get back to that very topic. All right, Thomas, you want to follow up?
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I was talking to a friend of mine today, the Fire Life's own Gerald Hedrick. We were speaking about this upcoming season, and we know it's going to be difficult to have a complete season. And my word of the day, I said all that to say, my word of the day is daunting. So it's going to be almost an impossible task for us to have a complete NFL season without some type of bubble. So daunting. That's my word of the day.
Okay. Ladine?
I was laughing at this because this pre-conversation got me cracking up over here about my words of the day. So, Jay got jokes, Gina got jokes, but it's all good. My word of the day is grounded. I feel incredibly grounded, protected, safe, secure. All of these beautiful words in my being. We celebrated my son's 11th birthday, my baby's 11th birthday this weekend, and we went to the beach. And there's something very healing about the beach, which we can get into, I guess, on another show at another time. But it's always incredibly healing for somebody like me. And it's like a reset. So I feel like I'm reset. I feel grounded. I feel safe inside of Ladine. I just feel really, really good. So yeah, definitely grounded, standing in my power.
Were there a lot of people at the beach?
Man, listen, there was too many people at the beach. First day.
Okay.
I'm
I'm sorry. Let's
Okay.
She hit that gas.
She was getting ready to take
I was
off.
like, uh-oh. Well, there goes my
It wasn't
segment.
that bad. The first day there really wasn't that many people, but the second day there was.
Let's move on. JR, what about you and your word of the day?
It's kind of piggyback off Ladine. I would say recharged. Again, we got still a lot of, again, it was, great, again, to celebrate Lincoln's birthday. He'd been wanting to go to the beach he said, verbatim, he said, it feels like I've been 10 for 2 years. I need the beach. So I don't know what the connection was between the two, but I guess he felt like he needed to, get some sun and some water. So went down to Wrightsville Beach and got a couple days out there. It was great. And personally for me, it was great to kind of get that last little hump of getting back to myself physically. So the sun kind of recharged me. The salt water recharged me. And, feeling like ox again. So, I'm back like bra straps now. So we good.
All right.
Yeah.
I can honestly say I've never heard that before, but okay. Yes, and that's why vacations are so good and needed. Like they are necessary to get that recharge. And yeah, I can't wait. Al and I are having a getaway next weekend, and I just cannot wait. Yes, for our anniversary.
Oh.
Yes, it's
Hey,
Thursday.
really quick for the listeners, can anybody shout out their anniversary? I don't think we've done that.
The date or the number?
Yeah, just the date. Like
The
just
date.
yeah.
August 6th.
August 6th. Pooh, Keita.
June 21st.
Ladine, when is your anniversary?
January 15th.
January 15th.
Lady, don't be like that. Don't even be like that. No.
All right, go ahead, Gina. I'm sorry.
Where are you guys going for your anniversary?
We are torn. We haven't quite decided. Right now, what's on the table is the mountains, North Georgia. Because we're just skittish about traveling to certain places, being around too many crowds. And so we were trying to find something that was kind of isolating, but but yet give us the opportunity to go out if we felt comfortable in the conditions. And so while we've looked at a place in North Carolina, it's just that, it's not that much to do in the area. So we're still looking. We threw out a lake house today, thinking that we could get one that would have a pier, and maybe we can spend some time out on the pier and, on the water a little bit, but we'll see. So nothing concrete yet. But whatever it is, and at this point, I don't even care, y'all.
Right, I feel you.
I'm just ready to be out. But this is our 25th. We were supposed to be in Hawaii for our anniversary. But COVID clearly had other plans.
What's the 25th? The diamond, the platinum. What is 25th?
Silver.
I think it's silver.
Silver. Okay.
I think you looking it up, Al? Oh, he's like, nah, I don't care that much. Okay.
I just believe I'm right.
And by the way, can you look up while you're there? Can you look up the amount of alcohol that Chiquita's hand sanitizer has in it, so we can see if Pooh's right?
Yes, 76%. I got 76%.
Okay, word. Good hand sanitizer.
So, my word of the day is
Hmm.
successful. I finished up I was facilitating a family group, yeah. And it was 7 sessions, and today was the last session. And so it just felt good, anytime. It's just that sense of completion. And when you get feedback, that is favorable, and that you've made an impact and it's meaningful, and that these families are going to be in a better place as a result of being a part of this group, it just always feels good. So, and that ended at 7. So I'm still just kind of on that high, riding that wave of, you did a good job and the families are better because, yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yes. So we decided to go ahead and do a repeat of I guess it's not a repeat. Well, it's a repeat for us, not so much for you, right? But that we weren't going to change the topic of what we had planned for last week. One, because it's still relevant and very important. I just hate it though, right? Because the show was dope.
It's y'all missed a hell of a show.
As soon as we finished, it was just, unanimous. That was a good show. That's a great show. Man, that's a good show. Yeah, and just to hear less than 24 hours later, nah, it's a no-go. It's like,
oh, well.
Okay.
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to be, not last week. So here we are again, and we are talking about the pandemic. So some of you may know or remember that all 3 of us, all 3 couples, we all live in different states. Al and I live in Georgia. Ladine and JR are in North Carolina, and Chiquita and Thomas are in South Carolina. So, what's going on in your states? What's the climate? As far as wearing masks, not wearing masks, are you all being mandated? What's going on in your individual states?
Man, let me tell you. I told y'all husbands last night, but yesterday I got to be the asshole not wearing a mask. And it was quite an experience. Because I ain't never been read by so many people. When I say it was an equal reading of me amongst black women, white women, and 2 white dudes. Everybody was reading me if this nigga don't get the fuck out this restaurant. So I felt so on the spot. I really felt like I walked in with my pants around my ankles. That's how they was looking at me. But that was a microcosm of how it is now in most places. And, of course, so long story short, I ordered food, had to go in and pick it up. Wasn't planning to go in, and my mask I always keep a mask in my car. Took it out to go to the beach this weekend and didn't put it back. So there weren't any masks in my car. So I put, a wipey, a hand wipe up to my face and my shirt up to my nose. Thought that would suffice, but nah, they wasn't having it. And I was quickly told, "Sir, your food is over there for pickup and your drinks. Get out." So that's pretty much and that's a good thing. But that's pretty much the how things are right now and how people are behaving and receiving the naked face people in public. So that's pretty much how things are right now, but I'm thankful for it because if I were on the other side, I would want somebody to protect me like that. So, yeah, that's how it is.
Are the masks a mandate, or is it still?
In most places, yes, they are leaving it up to individual businesses. So there was a big sign on the door when I walked in. I was like, man, I ain't got no choice but to go in and break this rule. But yes, most places do have signs on the door. But there are a few places, mostly gas stations that I go to, that people aren't wearing masks. I guess they figure it's a quick in and out trip, but it's mostly gas stations.
Okay. Chiquita and Thomas, what about South Kakalaki?
Oh Lord, what? So many things to say.
Where do I start?
Where should we start? Well, as we all know, we have McMaster, someone who was just sworn in after the other governor left. But pray for us because it's like confusion all over the place. Well, right now they're saying it was mandatory to wear a mask just in the city. Then it says like it's mandatory to wear masks in the restaurants. But now he came up and decided today that it's up to the officials or whatever who's over your city to decide if it should be mandatory. So he doesn't want to pull the plug, should be mandatory to wear the mask or not. So we're just confused of what to do because they're not sure what they want to do. But we do know that they decided to open up everything now. So we just heard that the movie theater will be opening up.
Wow.
Help us. Yep, that was today. And then what else was today?
I can't remember what they said. I do know. You done?
Yeah, you can talk this.
So I do know he said he wants to limit the customers in the restaurants and the bars. However, like Chiquita said, he opened up the movie theater. So they, of course, they're mandating masks for those public places like that. But I guess in the outskirts, it's whatever whomever over that establishment want. But around here, everything's definitely mask mandated.
So we are seeing more people wearing the mask because at first, no one was wearing a mask in South Carolina. But now the cases are so high. Right now we have how many cases? Was it like...
What the thing say?
Was it
85?
It was like 85,000 cases and maybe like 1,500 deaths in South Carolina. So that's how many cases we have of COVID in South Carolina.
Wait, 85,000, that's the total?
Yeah.
That's the total for the state. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we have a total of 85,000 cases of COVID. In South Carolina, and he's still deciding to open up the movie theater. Schools are reopening.
Right. His advice to the school districts and whatnot was to, hey, you know what? Send everybody back face to face. That's what I want. I'm encouraging everyone to let's go face to face. But of course, all the school districts went against that, and most of them are going hybrid. So McMaster's, man, I don't have an address.
No one likes him. It doesn't matter what color you are. No one is really caring for him too much, but that's what we have to deal with.
But I do want to say.
So.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, and I have like a 12-second story. So I'm running my mouth on the phone today, and I get to Dollar General, and I step in, and I'm that guy without the mask. And I was. So as soon as I opened the door and I felt that wind brush my face, I was like, "Boy, you tripping? You don't have your mask on." So everyone in the store looked at me like, "Yo, get out of here!" So, so I ran to the car and I was like, "Man, I'm straight bugging. Let me get off this phone, man. I done lost who I am. I'm walking in the store without a mask." But it was funny the way everyone looked at me because I totally understood it.
Man.
More often than not, I get to the door of the store and have to turn back and go and get my mask.
That's me.
9 times out of 10, this is me. I'm like, why can't I remember this damn mask?
At least you
I
turn
had to
around
get
though.
in the car and drive home and go pick it up because I done forgot it at the house. Fuck the car.
Yeah, I'm like Jay. I leave one in the car because I know I won't forget it.
Never. I couldn't believe I did that. Like I have them in my pocket, my bag, hanging up on my signal indicator. Like I have them everywhere, and I can't believe I got to the store and I didn't have a mask on.
But I know for me, it's I go out so infrequently until it just hasn't become a habit for me.
Right. I got you.
Yeah, I just leave mine in the car. Actually, I think I got 2 in the car.
One of them probably mine that you took out my car.
Oh, well, whatever.
So down here in Atlanta, these folks are tripping. We get probably, I don't know, it's a lot of people still not wearing masks. I mean, it's a lot of people that wear them, but it's a lot of people not wearing a mask. I haven't seen folks giving any crazy looks. Just kind of.
Well, at least down on our side, and because it's been politicized so much in our country, and we live in a Republican state, but we live in a Republican county specifically. So there are a lot of folks walking around here like they feel like they supporting our governor, supporting our president by exercising their freedom of getting people sick or getting sick if they want to. But, reality is in our state, April used to be the height of it. We were up in the 1500s a day. Now we range anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 a day. And it just hasn't slowed down. Many people think our governor, who was one of the first states that opened up too quick. And we are paying for his decision. So there's a lot of people nervous around here.
And he will not back down. He is clearly a Trump crony. And despite the fact that our numbers are going up, he doing stuff like suing the mayor of Atlanta because she tried to mandate masks. And she wanted to scale back like the opening, so go back to an earlier phase in this process. He lost his damn mind. He sued her. They're in mediation right now.
Wow.
I'm like, who does that? Never mind the fact that, and this is a lot of people say racially based. Some people say it's just because it's Atlanta and he wants that city or this city to thrive, whatever that means. But there were 14 other municipalities that also mandated masks, and the governor didn't say a single word to any of them. We have the black female mayor of Atlanta, and she's getting sued. Like, it's just crazy. And it's one of those things like you're suing someone over something that's good for the city. I don't understand.
Because she's uppity and she needs to stay in her place.
It just doesn't make any sense.
And it really doesn't make sense. Like even some of his reasoning and rationalizing why he doesn't want to just make it a blanket, just a mandate, just doesn't make sense. So the whole idea that, making folks wear masks is unenforceable goes against so many other laws that we have. So, like, if with that logic, the fact that you can't enforce every person who doesn't wear a mask, we wouldn't have a seatbelt law, we wouldn't have a speeding law. There's just some laws that you know are best for the public, and you know you're not going to catch everybody, but you hope that if you make this law, most people will follow it, and the folks that don't, you just try to get it to incentivize people to do it. But I think, when people shoot out shit like that as an excuse, you just know it's just bullshit. So that's where we at.
And what law does catch everybody?
Right.
Like, that's the purpose. Right.
It makes no sense. Yeah, and he also keeps saying, I want to give Georgians the opportunity to do the right things. I know they're going to do the right thing, and, wear your mask, and because it's the right thing. And, dude, why do you keep saying that? Our numbers are going up. Clearly, Georgians aren't doing the right thing. And to Al's point, that's why laws are made, because people won't do the right thing unless they're forced to do the right thing. I don't understand what we're talking about. But, I guess this is Kemp's world and he gets to do what he wants to do. So here we are. What are we doing? What are we doing here? And in my county, who still yet, I think I said this 2 weeks ago on the show, who still yet has to decide how they're opening up schools this year. Like, first day of school is August 17th, and you all still have not made a decision as to what it's supposed to look like come August 17th.
Wow.
It's just crazy. And we're one of the last, it might be the only, but definitely one of the few that have not made any decisions. So while Al and I, our youngest is 20, and so we don't really have we kind of sort of have a dog in the fight, right? It's not our personal children, but our nephews and niece, they live here, 7, 4, and 3. And so we've had to pay attention and give some input, and figure out what we were going to do, because, the children and this household will be impacted. And so we are fortunate enough that we've made a decision for our children that they won't be going to school. It's the same things that's on the table as, for the other districts, that they're considering the whole hybrid, completely virtual or face-to-face. The last I heard, Al, I don't know if you heard this, the last that I heard that they are considering letting K through either 2 or 3 go face-to-face, and the other grades do virtual.
Ridiculous.
Actually, if the children are going to be in school, that's one of the better plans that I've heard.
Wow.
Because if you empty half of the school, then you have the whole school to service half of the students. And so that allows you to break them up all over the school to do the social distancing within the classroom.
I guess my thought is, to me, you can get half the school in by bringing in half the grades one day, half the grades on the other, right? So, either way, I do agree having half in is a good idea. But at the end of the day, I just really feel like the reason you want to keep students out is because it's not safe. And if it's not safe for one half of them, it ain't safe for the other half. And I'm just afraid that once kids come in, because we know that you can't really control the spreading of germs in schools, because you're just having all of these kids coming from all these different households, and they live different ways. And while we might be real protective and conservative, and 60% of the school might be on that same strain, like, yeah, we're going to do the right thing. The reason the numbers are going up in the state is because people ain't doing the right thing. So it's just going to me, increase the spread. That's what I'm really concerned about. And yeah, I'm just worried.
So I agree with everything that you just said. And that's why I was like, if they're going to go back face to face, then I would prefer to see a model like that. Because yes, you could do the alternate days, which a lot of schools are doing, or 2 and 3 or whatever it is. But one that kind of, which is kind of, I guess, not good to say, right? But that exposes that many more children if something were to break out in the building. So you're limiting the number of children that come in that way as well. But also, I just kind of feel like when you pick the grades like that, while it's still going to create some hardships for parents, but by the time you get to the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, you're a little more able to be self-contained. And so it doesn't require as much hands-on supervision, so that parents who have the opportunity to take the children to work with them, it's a little easier to take a 10-year-old versus a 5-year-old. Or if they're staying at home, then it's still easier to manage older children than it is younger children.
Yeah, I hear that.
So that's why I'm saying, like, that's the best thing I've heard thus far. But, I'm with Al. Like, I just kind of feel like everybody needs to stay home until we can figure this thing out. Where y'all?
And kudos to North Carolina, because they have decided that for the first 9 weeks, the kids are going to stay home. And they'll revisit after that 9 weeks. The plan is for them to go back at 9 weeks, but they did say they would revisit if necessary, which is...
Was that a state decision, or was that just like your local district?
I know it was our for the county. I'm not sure if the entire state is doing that. Lady, do you know?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think that might just be the county.
Okay. So I know it's our county. I'm not sure about the entire state, but and then we also learned today that although I hated it for him, but Lincoln's football season has been canceled, so all sports have been canceled for youth for this year. But
man, his whole heart has been torn up, down, all around. His whole life was broken. Okay?
All right. So he was all set today to go to workouts, off-season workouts, and so to learn that the season's been canceled. But it's not just, for one, it's not just our kids that we have to look out for. It's it's not just the players, it's the fans, the parents, the cheerleaders, everyone. So it's a collective decision that was made by the entire league, and I'm proud that they made a decision and stuck to it without dragging it out too long. So he'll miss the season,
we have some districts who are going virtual but still having their sports.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, how does that make sense? Right. If it's not safe for these children to be in school, why is it okay for them to play sports?
Well, because you're in the South. Yeah. Like the world is on fire, but the South, everything in the South is like, when football start? So
that is just so ridiculous.
Yeah, no, but so for my nephew, they're in Fulton County in Georgia, and for my nephew, it's his senior year this year, and they are allowing them, they're only allowed to play sports if they choose to go to school. So if they choose virtual learning, then they're not allowed to play sports.
Wow.
I mean, I just don't even understand that concept either. So I get what they're saying, but who determines whether or not, if the kids are playing baseball, there's really not much contact in the sport. Yeah, the germs can all get on the ball, but there's not so much contact. So who are you to say that, if you don't want your kid to go to school, then they can't play sports? I don't know. I just feel like a bunch of idiots sit in a boardroom together and make these decisions for everyone. And that type of shit really pisses me off.
Yeah, but I get that. And I get everything we're talking about. I get it. And we kind of touched on this on the magnificent episode that nobody will ever hear last week. But I feel bad for these people who have to make these decisions, because in a big sense, whatever they decide, they're going to get criticized for, and they're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the parents too, because in many cases, it's an economic decision. People in many cases got to work, and work requires them to leave their home. And, schools, they play a child care role in our society, among other things. But a big part of what they do is provide childcare for parents as they go off and work.
Right.
And I think when you are putting parents in a situation where, they need to work, but the schools are saying, for the best interest of society, your kids need to go home. And it's like, well, that's not what my job's saying. My job's saying I need to be in the building. So if I need to be in the building, who's gonna watch these kids?
Right.
So I just think it's real. It's one of the most complex societal issues I've seen in a long time. It is real complex.
Yeah,
and it's also for some parents, it's a health issue. Where they have either the child themselves or, at high risk, or someone in the household is high risk. And so, as a parent, you're having to make a choice between, potentially my child's health and being able to make a living.
Yeah. Right. No, it's extremely touchy. Because they're gonna have to quit their job if it comes down to that, because those younger children, like my district went completely virtual. However, I voted for the hybrid. I voted for 2 days in, and of course the virtual the rest of the days. It may not help, but I figured that you may be able to find someone, to occupy your kids for 3 days instead of an entire 5. And I know when it comes down to those elementary school kids, dude, someone has to be home with them, and parents they're gonna have to get out there and go to work. And once they have to take one income out of the household, Lord knows what they may be. So that's extremely difficult, and we were looking at child care things ourselves, because of course I'm gonna have to be in, and Kita's gonna have to be doing her thing at work. So if the kids going, well, we're doing the hybrid system, and so without kids being, even when they're here for the hybrid in their home, she's still gonna have to somehow get to them. So that's gonna be extremely difficult, because she's doing her job for 8 hours during that time span. So we were looking at this child care place where they could go, where it's minimal kids. They normally do summer camp there. However, that's gonna be like $320 a week. So who can afford that additional?
And that's at prices now. Like, we haven't even experienced child care facilities price gouging, because it can happen. With them knowing.
Right.
True that.
But even for child care facilities, I feel like those are peachy dishes. Like, you cannot convince me. Like, and y'all know, I did early child care for years. Listen, there's no way that you can keep these children socially distant, you can keep them with their hands clean. You know what I'm saying? They keep masks on 1-year-old and 2-year-old children. Like, you have a couple that might, but for the most part, like, come on. And then it's like, and then what is it that the children are getting? Because now I can't hold the 1-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't sit on my lap. We can't get that close because of this thing. That's what a 1-year-old wants. That's what 2-year-olds do. Like, there's no way. And so while you'll be a little bit separate, because the older children, they usually have them in some large room or a classroom over in the corner or something. The germs are still in the building.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, for people who are afraid to send their children, that's not a viable to school. A child care center is not a viable option for them either.
Right. And the precautions we went in, got the gaithers with the filters, and we also have the visor. So we sending the kids with the gaither face mask with the filter and a visor for the 2 days that they go. So we strapping them up.
Strapping them up.
Yeah, now some private schools, it's mandatory that you buy a visor, like a face shield. Now the public school, which I'm not understanding, they're not giving us any information at all yet of like what protocol they'll be going through, or anything, or what type of gear we should, that they're allowing the kids to have. They're not saying anything. The only thing they're saying is the kids are coming to school.
We've got a couple of districts here who the masks are voluntary.
Wow.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Wow.
See,
I
that's
don't
why.
know.
And then we're here in South Carolina, the kids now they're debating with football.
No, they're locked in for football.
So they're locked in for football.
Everything
Yeah.
starts.
Low,
Yeah,
I'm
everything
gonna need you
starts
to help
next
me
So
week.
jump in.
football is on the go. So they're
But
gonna
that
have
also
high
means you got to
school
pay
football,
attention,
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sports are a go.
which is crazy.
Wow.
Was
Yeah.
talking to a parent earlier today. Son is playing AAU basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what? If basketball is not a contact sport, I don't understand. But yet they have the parents separated, like they're making them sit like socially distant.
And basketball
Right.
even more so than any other sport. Like,
Agreed.
because
Agreed.
basketball, not only it's a contact sport, but there's no pads, no cushioning,
Right.
no face mask,
No
and,
barriers,
and it's
nothing.
indoors.
Right.
So,
A lot of contact.
Right.
A lot
And
of contact, a
and
lot
it's
of
direct
sweat.
sweat on sweat. Right.
Direct. Yeah. Face to face.
Face to face. Right.
Yes.
Again, like there's no opportunity. There's no opportunity for the, like, in football, as much contact as there is in football. There's padding, there's masks, and even getting germs on the ball. There's an opportunity for the ball to go through mud and get shit, even though to be dirty. A lot of opportunity for the actual virus to be drudged off in that dirt. As opposed to a basketball, which pretty much remains clean outside of sweat and hands all the entire game. So basketball is just very dangerous to me.
No,
Very
it
dangerous. Then you think about that nasty thing that players do sometimes, where they lick their hands.
Yes.
Yeah, to clean up the bottom of their sneakers or whatever the fuck that's about.
Or
Like
high
that.
fives, giving people
Right, because you want
dabs.
high five with the same nasty hand you just licked.
Or huddles, like getting huddles and putting your arms around each other's neck, and getting the huddle, like it's just natural.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I think
so this is really hard.
the other side of this, do you bring the kids into the school or not? I think, from the educator perspective, and, not many of them are going to say this publicly, but I think from their perspective, I think they recognize that distant learning in terms of the rigor and the quality of education that was going on in different homes vary. And I think they, for the sake of the kid in terms of learning, I think many of them are, believe that the best learning take place in the school, and they're afraid that, well, damn, if we continue to go in this direction, we are only increasing the gaps. And while some homes have the technology and stuff like that, and it might be going well, or some schools, the rigor is high and the teachers are making sure and the parents are making sure, and some it's not. And I think that's part of the equation in terms of wanting kids back into school. But, I'm of the belief that that still doesn't trump safety. So, but I think that's just part of when we talk about how difficult these decisions are, I just think that's another variable that's being considered. Like, well, where does learning take place best? And I think, based on what people learned, and I think it's going to get better. I mean, I really think what people experience from the educator side and the parent side and the children's side, I think it will get better. But I just think in the meantime, there's just some learning loss going on.
Yeah, definitely a loss. That's why they're throwing out the standardized testing. They threw them out last year. They've already thrown them out for this year. So because they just know that they can't say the kid or the students have adequate, that they've been equipped with everything they need to be equipped with if they haven't done it themselves. You can't say, well, we sent the packet home. You didn't complete the packet, so you can't brush it off on the parents because they just don't have the adequate training of.
That's true too.
Of the teacher. So
of them aren't even
they are
enough.
right. They're absolutely not teachers.
Right.
But before we dig deeper into this, let's go ahead and get some bills paid for.
No doubt.
All right, so we'll be back. But before we go, speaking of bills, let's give a shout out to our patron of the week. Well, actually, he was a patron of last week, Gerald Hedrick. So thank you for your support. We really appreciate it.
Shout out to Money.
Shout out to Money. We'll be back in a minute.
Best Medicine Podcast with Simba, sparking positive change in the community, having real conversations and therapy. And that laughter's the best remedy. Got that heavy dose of humor for your hearts to heal. With mental health, it can't get any more real, yeah. Best Medicine Podcast. Laugh, love, learn. Best Medicine Podcast.
Best Med Pod, it's your man Simba Roar back in this thing one more time, bruh. Come get your weekly diagnosis Thursday at midnight, only on the Defy Life Podcast Network. Check us out, though.
So, yeah, I agree with Al and Thomas. I think that there is a huge concern about learning loss, and as it should be, right? Because we have children that are already struggling, and so how devastating is this going to be to them? We have children who are excelling, but may have some learning loss, and so it's a horrible situation, and a difficult place to be to have to make these decisions. And so, yeah, Ladine, you mentioned the whole literacy piece. We have parents, and we try to pretend that it's not a thing, but it is very much a thing. We have lots of parents who are not literate, and so they cannot help their children. We also have parents who are just computer illiterate, who would love to help their children, but they don't know how to use.
And we have some parents who just don't give a fuck. If we're being honest.
Well,
you're going to get some pushback from my wife now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Just from experience.
Well, I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. They don't give a fuck enough to go that extra mile, to make sure shit is getting done. So when rubber hits the road and you have to ensure that things are getting done and double and triple checking, they don't give a fuck enough in that regard. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends because what we experienced, right? Because what we experienced this year with Ladine, and he was right here in the next room, and boom, we're getting emails, and we're like, well, I thought we told you to do this. Mind you, all day I'm in here working. We got 2 kids on 2 separate computers. JR's out there working, so sometimes it may look to some teachers that it may look like, oh, well, this parent, what the fuck are they doing with their kids? And it's not that we're doing, but you literally got to be on their asses sometimes, and that shit gets fucking annoying, and it definitely becomes a headache. So I wouldn't completely say that, but I don't know. I think with the literacy thing, then you have parents. I think about my mom. My mother was first generation here in the States because I'm second generation. Think about how many kids are first generation, born and raised in the United States. Their parents don't even speak the same language. So how the fuck are they supposed to teach their kids? So there's so many different pieces to this that when you when you really start breaking it down, I wouldn't want to be someone to make these decisions, but I would definitely always stay on the safe side. You even have doctors coming out and they're complaining that, oh, these people should be able to go in because we've tried this drug and this drug works. And it's like, but wait, you're not the person still that has to make those decisions. So even though you may back the science, or you feel that the science backs itself, you're still putting people in danger, telling people that they don't have to wear masks. My mom is 65. She's high risk. A week ago, my husband is still probably high risk. You know what I'm saying? So you're telling people not to wear masks, but they're walking in the same supermarkets and down the same streets as people that we love that may be high risk. So it may not be that that a child may be less at risk. We don't even know what it really is, right? But I'm just saying, just because there are people at risk, fucking period, wear your masks, because we are all connected. We are all here. And we got to keep each other safe. And we all want to get back to some sort of normalcy. I don't think we're ever going to get back, but we definitely want to see some sort of normalcy. A lot of us want to see our families. We want to go on vacation. Shit, we just want to get the fuck out the house. So definitely just keep wearing your mask, or just stay safe. Period. Serious.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but we talked, I don't know, we had the conversation about just this idea that people are not connected. Like, so to expect people, and it's unfortunate, and we all disagree with this, but people do not see the connection to each other. We take this stance of, I'm not responsible for anybody but me and mine. Whatever you do you over there, and I'll do me over here, and we're fine. And so I don't have to wear a mask. Wear a mask for you? Nah, that's not what I want to do. I don't care nothing about your at-risk family at the house. I don't care. Me and mine. That's it. Right. And so that's why you're looking at Kemp, and it's like, how you expecting people to do the right thing? That's not what we do.
Right. It's not.
Just generally speaking, that's not what we do. Right.
Meanwhile, his kid's school is closing and going virtual. It's like so that's telling you what they think. They're like, yeah, y'all can go to school, but as far as me and mine, we chilling.
It's so ridiculous. Yeah. It's so ridiculous. The other thing, that I've been hearing a lot of parents complaining about is this idea that once the schools, at least here in Georgia, I don't know what other people are doing, but once the schools go virtual, that either they won't be offering the gifted or honors classes, or they'll be offering them at it'll be very limited. Mm-hmm. Not all the classes. And so the parents are like, what the fuck is that about? The schools are basically, we can't do everything. Nah, why not? Exactly. Like, you're supposed to figure that out.
Right. And that's one thing, is like, if you're going to, and I get, teachers don't have much say in this at all. But that's a commitment that you make. And if that, if that change happens, you got to be willing to make, like, as much happen as possible to make this as seamless as possible. And again, not a lot of this is going to be seamless, but things like that, where kids that are worthy of honors classes, you have to make that happen. Find some way, because otherwise, it lessens the incentive for them, in their individual classes, and it lessens the aspire to for the other students. So, and
right,
things
and
like
so
that
you've got some parents. Yeah, so you've got some parents that are opting to send their children to school just so that they can continue to take their gifted classes and the IB curriculum, and because it's that fear of, and I'm talking about high school, really, it's that fear of getting into college. It's so competitive. I still need to be able to prove that my child took the most rigorous coursework, and so they're sending their children to school. Not that they necessarily think that that's the best thing health-wise, but we need this other, this other thing that we get from the school.
Right, and which also speaks to probably why a lot of kids are playing AAU basketball, because it's so competitive, and kids want those scholarships, and they have to have that visibility, and that gives them a leg up over the kids that aren't playing.
Man, yeah.
It's terrible. It's terrible. That's what we decided to do with Carter, because he's in a lot of those gifted and talented classes. So we ended up changing his school. So he'll be going to, instead of going to a public school, he'll be going to more like a charter school, but it's like a collegiate type school. So they have a lot of their kids are virtual. So they have like some virtual stuff, and they go to class or whatever. So I think it'll be a really good transition for him, being that we're going to be into virtual, and he can still have those like Spanish court classes and algebra and all that stuff. So
yeah,
so talking about, go ahead.
Good. Oh no, I was just saying. Then our boys both will be. It's the IB magnet school they go to, so a lot of those same things that were being questioned, as far as their curriculum and things like that. But they've done a very good job of communicating, and again, kudos to them for making a decision and sticking with it. So everybody has time to adjust.
Right. So we've got another group of students whose needs aren't met adequately in the virtual world, are children with special needs.
Right.
Yeah, that's been a hard one to figure out.
Yeah.
For so many of these children, like that, all of their therapies, all of their interventions occur when they're in school, and they come through the school system, right? And so if you're not in school, if this is not face to face for them, how do they get their services? And so it's crazy. I was talking to a mom the other day, and she was in tears, and her baby is autistic. And I think that she said the baby was maybe second grade.
Wow.
I'm not positive about that, but it's lower elementary, And, her thing was how hard they tried, like all of this baby's life, she says, since she was 8 months old. We worked with her to get her to the point where she would be socialized and ready to start school when she was 5, right? And so they did all that work, and they got her there. And she's like, and now, like, she's just going to regress because we're back in this situation where, it's just her in the house. And I mean, in tears. And I mean, I was just heartbroken because there's so many stories like that, right? And there's so many parents that don't even know what their rights are as it relates to the special needs services that they're supposed to get.
Yeah.
But in this virtual world, it's like that's impossible.
Right.
Especially when you're talking about the therapies that are around your physical body, occupational and physical therapy, right. Yeah. There's no way that these people can go, the therapist could go to everybody's house. There's no way.
Right.
Nor is that safe, or would that be recommended. But I'm just saying,
Yeah, right. And it's crazy. Like upon hearing the news that Lincoln's season was going to be canceled, he was crushed. And so not to compare the two, but like the first thought that went through my head was, well, at least, he has the resources. I can work with him and continuing to stay on course while the season is canceled, and he'll be ready to go when the next season starts. A lot of kids don't have that, but like to put that to tenfold, 20-fold for kids like this who have special needs, who don't have access to what they genuinely need. Fuck a sport.
Yep.
Like things that they need to survive and to like guide them into the next phase of their life, that are absolutely necessary. And to be missing those things, especially not knowing, again, to have people in leadership who are not willing to communicate or just flat out don't know and won't make a decision, and won't allow families and kids and parents to move on, whatever that decision is. Make the damn decision, stick to it, and communicate it. And that's tough when families aren't getting that.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know. My girlfriend was telling me that her daughter's college was considering flipping the seasons for a lot of the sports. So having the low contact, no contact sports, that typically are in the spring or the second semester, and doing some of those the first semester where the more, high contact sports are. So I was like, oh, that's pretty creative.
But then that would require other schools to like agree with it.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
Schedules have to be made, and so even that stuff.
And
we're talking about kids that are at a disadvantage. And we also have the kids that are at a disadvantage financially, who can't afford those changes a lot of times. Families that can't afford the changes that are going to be made. And it's all kind of intertwined. A lot of those kids who, and families who depend on, the financial assistance are kids of special needs and kids who are involved in sports. Those are, so a lot of those things are intertwined, and, it's only going to deepen a lot of people's misery.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's real tough, and I mean, we really are, as we approach this new normal and dealing with things we've never done. I do want to just acknowledge that we've had some, and so many communities, people have responded and stepped up to the challenge to offer some resources, offer some innovation, trying to figure out how to close the gap. Like whether it's food, technology, health services, just working in a school district, it really was a thing where in March when this hit, we were just kind of all over the country, just kind of blindsided. And it was like, all right, we just got to go in this other direction and let's figure it out. And, it was, I got to give amazing shout outs to parents, amazing shout out to, the funders, some of the corporations. Like, it's just from a school's perspective, there's a lot of people that just kind of reached out initially and was said, how can we help? And, the food situation in itself, was just kind of an eye opener to a lot of folk. Like, well, what do you mean we got to still give them food? Well, because that lifted up this idea that many of our kids, those meals, 1 meal, 2 meals, and sometimes even a snack was counted on in those schools. And when you just send kids home without that, it lifted up just the idea of how hungry people are. So, I mean, I think this pandemic really just pulled the sheet over a lot of problems that many people were talking about, but people were ignoring. And I think it was just a time where you couldn't ignore them anymore, or the catastrophe, the crisis would have even been greater.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right.
And then
absolutely.
again, we're not, and then we're forgetting about the teachers, because South Carolina also had a big protest earlier with a lot of the teachers, because they want to go fully virtual. And then we're not thinking about them, because a lot of the teachers in South Carolina, well, first, we don't have teachers that, students, a lot of teachers now, like a lot of schools are not filled with a lot of teachers. So you have substitute teachers.
Shortage.
And then some of the teachers that are retired, they're coming back to teach in South Carolina. And so they're old, they have age on them. So that's really scary.
And they don't know how to run a virtual class.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that hybrid situation, they're also high risk.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, so it's scary. I definitely, I just want to see like how much they've debated to figure out, what they're going to do with school.
What I want to know is, like, what will they do in a scenario like, and it's particularly for like middle school, high school, like where they change classes, right? So if I'm a teacher and I get sick, right? I have 5 classes of students. So I've touched, I don't know, let's say there's 15 in a class, right? What's that? 75. So I've been in contact with 75 different students. What happens now? Do those 75 students have to go home and they have to be quarantined for 2 weeks?
Right.
The teacher has to be like, so how does this work?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, definitely schools are, following the guidance that we get from Department of Health, states, CDC, and in many cases, they're definitely advising this type of contact tracing, and but they're really trying not to shut down a whole school. But to your point, we know one person can, in that situation, possibly expose 75 people and therefore 75 homes. And those homes, if they work and then go to church, so it's like when you do exponentially what one person being infected can do to a school and a community, that's what really makes it scary. And to me, like the two facts that when I heard this, I was like, whoa, was the data that came out a couple of weeks ago from, I think it was a study from Yale, that said that the most infectious people are the people who are pre-symptomatic and the people who are asymptomatic. And compared to other diseases like Ebola and the flu, where you are the most infectious when you are showing symptoms, this disease, this virus is different. And when you think about it in that way, in the sense that somebody before they know they're sick or might not ever know they're sick because they don't have symptoms, that's when they're most infectious. Like, to me, that means people could just be walking around thinking they fine, and that's when they're most infectious. So the trick or the solution would be you'd really have to test people on a daily basis before they could even be coming into the school. And the way testing is right now, that's not realistic. So that's just why it's scary. And I would not want to be in the shoes of anyone having to figure this out, or having to be in the shoes of y'all parents who are weighing all of this as people are trying to figure it out. And I just pray for all y'all.
And if they are, from, I guess the understanding I have from what they're supposed, what we're supposed to be doing in the classroom when they do come in on the hybrid schedule. So it's supposed to be plastic partitions in the room, different rows, different partitions. So it's going to be maybe 12 students in the classroom. The teacher's going to have a face shield, and I guess maybe particularly the class next to it, it may be an overflow classroom. The same partitions, the smart board up, and they will be able to view the teacher teaching on that smart board. So she would, I guess, go from class to class, or someone would accompany her going class to class, fake shield and the partitions. So that seems adequate to me. However, like what Gina threw out there, the changing classes and things of that nature, I don't know if they'll stagger the classes being shifted, but I know lunchtime, they're going to bring the lunch down to the room. They're not going to walk the hallways, things of that nature. So if they do those type things, I think it's possibly they can make it. I think those are very adequate measures, but we'll see.
Yeah, and then it would also.
I ain't with it.
No,
sorry, I'm sorry. I was just saying I ain't with it, but go ahead, Cher.
I was just saying in that regard, it would also seem simpler for the teachers to change classes versus students changing classes.
Students, right. Right.
So, but of course,
and they make do that. I don't.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
this
the
is
same
2
difference,
days.
though. They're still going to be infecting the same amount of children. It's just crazy. So yeah, y'all, this is a hard topic. Like Al, I think it was Al said, this is like the realest, the hardest shit that we have had to go through our lifetime. And all we can do, y'all, we got to stay prayed up, stay hopeful, be safe, wear your mask, wash your hands.
I thought the New York City subway map was hard. This year.
Man.
Yeah. See, but you learn to navigate that subway map, right?
That map is one of the easiest things on the planet to understand.
It was just stop. It was just a matter of time. This, on the other hand, this is a whole different thing. But take care of yourself. At the end of the day, just take care of yourself. Do some self-love, some self-care. Be safe out there, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Good night.
Good night.
Peace.
We're told that greatness is exceptional, when it should be expected. You choose every day to live your life intentionally, without apology for how bright your light may shine. So go be great. Go be brilliant. Go be you. Go defy life. The Defy Life movement is one that speaks to each of us in its own way. Defy Life Gear speaks to us all by reminding us that one size does not fit all. Visit defylifegear.com to get fitted for greatness.